Bismillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi yassir wa la tu'assir wa tammim bil khair. We will continue from, inshallah, question number 14. So we have already completed 13 questions from these exercises. And today, inshallah, we start from number 14. لعلنا نكمل الدرس الثاني اليوم. What would that mean? لعلنا نكمل اليوم الدرس الثاني. We hope we will complete. Yes, we will complete lesson number 2 today, inshallah. So we are hopeful, inshallah. So question number 14 is ما ضد المريض. What is the opposite of مريض, yani patient?
صحيح.
الصحيح. الصحيح. It's the singular, not the plural. Al-marid. So the singular al-marid and the plural will be ضده الصحيح. And al-marid, someone who is sick, and الصحيح, someone who is healthy. Okay, next is question number 15. هاتي ماضية الأفعال الآتية. Now we have to bring, or we have to give the past tense of the following verbs. All right, so we have the verbs here and we have to give the past tense. يحمل. حمل يحمل. So it will be on the pattern of ضرب يضرب. Okay. يطلع. طلع يطلع on the pattern of نصر ينصر. Yes, to rise, and it is used for the sunrise. يخطب. خطب يخطب. And I'm sure now, looking at the here, if you look at the second root letter, it has dhamma. So when we see that it has dhamma, that means it is from bab nasara yansuru. Excellent. Khataba yakhtubu, to address, to deliver a lecture. And then we have yaghrubu. Gharaba. Excellent. Again, so from here, from nasara yansuru, from the dhamma, we can see that this is from bab nasara yansuru. It's used for the sunset, when the sun sets. Yaqrabu. Now, this one can be slightly confusing. It can be Sami'a Yasma'u, and it can be Fataha Yaftahu, right? Yaqrabu. So it is Qariba Yaqrabu. Qariba Yaqrabu, to be near. It's on the pattern of Sami'a Yasma'u. Sami'a Yasma'u. And then we have the last one, Nataqa Yantiqu. Nataqa Yantiqu. That means to speak, or to say, or to pronounce something. So these are the past tenses. Hamala, yahmilu. Then we have tala'a yatlu'u, khataba yakhtubu, gharaba yaghrubu, qariba yaqrabu, and nataqa yantiqu. Nataqa yantiqu on the pattern of daraba yadribu. And similarly, hamala yahmilu. So these are easy to recognize. Also, these are easy to recognize. The only thing is, when we have bab sami'a yasma'u, fataha yaftahu, only that time we need to be sure about whether it is from bab sami'a or whether it is from bab fataha. Okay, then it says hati mufrad al asma' al atiyati. Now we have to give the singular mufrad of the following nouns. Hurumun. Haramun, excellent. Haramun, and the plural is hurumun. Then we have sukara, intoxicated. Sakranu, and we know that sakranu is mamnu min as-sarf because it has alif nun zaidatan, and it is an adjective. So sakranu, and the plural will be sukara. Malaikatun. Malakun, excellent. Malakun. So lam has fatha. If lam takes kasra, that means the king, Malik. Malikin Nas, right? Malik, so that means the king. And if it has fatha, then it is malakun, and the plural is malaikatun. Malaikatun. Ma'anin,
Ma'na.
ma'nan, okay, or ma'na, excellent. So ma'na or ma'nan, and the plural is ma'anin, meanings. So as we can see here, haramun, and the plural is hurumun. Sakranu, and the plural is sukara. Malakun, malaikatun, ma'nan, and ma'anin. All right.
But sorry, what's the plural of Malik?
Muluk, on the pattern of
Nah, Muluk.
Muluk, yes.
Nah.
And then it says Hati Jam'al Asma il Atiyati. Now we have to provide the plural of the following nouns. So first we give the singular, and now we have to provide the plural. Amun, Ajir.
Awamun.
A'wamun, yes. A'wamun is on the pattern of af'alun. On the pattern of af'alun. Tiflun,
Tufal.
atfalun. The same on the pattern of af'alun. Okay, sahihun. Sahihun has two plurals. One is asihha'u, asihha'u on the pattern of af'ila'u, like atibba'u. And this is for lil aqil. And then we have sihahun, that is used for li ghayr al aqil. Have you heard the word sihahun? Siha, as-siha, as-sittah. It's used for the 6 authentic books of the hadith. So that's why they call them siha sittah. That these books of the hadith, this collection is called the sahih, or the correct collection of the books. That's why they call them sihahun, as-siha, as-sittah. Mutazawwijun,
Mutazawwijuna.
mutazawwijuna, excellent. Hizbun,
Ahzabun.
ahzabun, party or group, and the groups. So on the pattern of af'alun. And then we have imamun,
Aima.
a'immatun, a'immatun, excellent, a'immatun. Okay, very good. So now we can see here, amun, awamun, on the pattern of af'alun, tiflun, atfalun, sahihun. So it has two plurals, asihha'u lil aqil, wa sihahun lil ghayr al aqil, as we can see here. And then we have mutazawwijun, mutazawwijuna on the pattern of una. And then we have hizbun, ahzabun, the same pattern as a'wamun and atfalun. And then we have imamun, and it has a different pattern, a'immatun, a'immatun. All right, next we have 18. It gives us a bit of, like we have discussed this already in the handouts. Dakhaltu ala al-mudiri, meaning dakhaltu maktab al-mudiri wa huwa fihi. Yani I entered the office of the manager while he was there in the office. So dakhaltu ala al-mudiri. Then we have aqamat as-salat. So this is the past tense, aqama, and the present tense al-mudari is yuqimu. Aqama yuqimu. It is bab number 4, derived from number 4, on the pattern of aslama yuslimu islaman. And then we have aqama yuqimu iqamatan. Iqamatan, to establish something. And we discussed yesterday that it is used to establish the prayer. Like before the prayer, when we say, that is called al-iqama. Wal amru minhu aqim. And fi'l al-amr from is aqim. So it's basically tuqimu, and you know from tuqimu, the ya gets dropped. And we have discussed about this, and inshallah, when we discuss about the derived forms of the verb, which I guess starts from lesson number 5 or 6, and then we will see in detail like how these changes take place. We have already discussed about the weak verbs in book number 2, but we have discussed about the verbs that have 3 root letters. And in this book, we will discuss about the verbs that have 3 root letters, but they have some extra root letters as well, as we call them, thulathi mazid fi. Ma al-farqu bayna al-abd wal-ubayd. What is the difference between abd and ubayd? ماذا تسمى صيغة العبيد في الصرف? And what do we call
Sigatu Sugora. Sigatu Sugora.
صيغة تصغير. Yes, تصغير.
Okay, sigatu tasghir.
تصغير, yes. صغر يصغر تصغيرا. تصغيرا means to make something smaller. So that is called صيغة التصغير. Okay, as you can see here, العبيد تصغير تصغير العبد, يعني the short form of عبد is عبيد. Like جبل, جبيل, طفل, طفيل, and these are the short forms. We have learned about these in book number 2. 21, it says وصلت المدينة ووصلت إلى المدينة كلاهما صحيح. So وصل يصل, you can use it with the preposition of إلى, and you can also use it without the preposition of إلى as well. Like in English we say I reached home. So we don't really use to with that. So in Arabic it's possible to say وصلت المدينة, I reached the city. ووصلت إلى المدينة, the translation will be the same. I reached the city, but it is possible to use with the preposition of إلى, and we can also use it without إلى. كلاهما, both of them. كلاهما صحيح, are correct. يجمع. Okay, يجمع, can you figure out what kind of verb is this? Is this, have you learned about it or not? Is it active or passive?
It's a passive Ustad because the
Passive.
starting letter is Dhamma.
Okay.
The second last letter has Fatha, kind of. So it's passive,
Excellent.
Ustad.
Yes, very, very good. Or very simple formula, inshallah, I will give you today, hopefully, that in the present tense, you will always have Dhamma in the beginning, and after that, there will be no kasra. You will never see a kasra in the passive when we talk about the present tense. In the present tense, when we talk about the passive, there will be no kasra. And we should remember that the passive always starts with Dhamma. Passive always starts with Dhamma, whether it is for the past tense or it is for the present tense. يجمع معنى على معان. So we make the plural of ma'ana on the pattern of ma'anin. So يجمع, it is made plural. It is made plural, like we will translate it in the passive. يجمع معنا على معان. The plural of معنى is on the pattern of معان. هاك أمثلة أخرى لمثل هذا الجمع. And you have some other examples on the pattern on this pattern. So the first one is jariyatun, is the feminine. Jariyatun, can you figure out the root letters, or can you figure out on what pattern this is? Jariyatun, what is the wazn of jariyatun?
Fa'ilatun.
Fa'ilatun, excellent. Fa'ilatun, okay. So the root letters will be jara yajri, to walk, to run, okay. Jara yajri fahuwa jarin. Jarin for the masculine and for the feminine will be jariyatun. Jariyatun, so jariyatun means a girl or a slave girl, and the plural is jawarin, and jawarin is also used for the ship. So both, it's used for the girl and it is also used for the ship. Now mashiyatun, you should be able to figure out now. Mashiyatun is on the pattern of fa'ilatun. Yeah, so it is masha yamshi fahuwa mashin, right? Mashin is for the masculine because it is ismul manqus. So for ismul manqus, it will always take kasratain like jarin and mashin. But when we use ta marbuta, you know that ta marbuta always takes fatha before it. And that's why the ya comes back. So mashin, mashiyatun, and the plural is mawashin, mawashin. And basically it is used for the cattle or livestock, like the cattle that we have, like the Arabs used to have. So they use the word mawashin, and Urdu we use the word mawashi, I think, or mawashi, we use that word as well, which refers to you know, like goat and sheep and all kind of these animals that we eat. Then we have da'iyatun.
Da'a
يدعو
yad'u.
فهو داع.
Da'in.
داع فهي داعية. Okay. Da'iyatun, and then the plural is dawa'in. Dawa'in. And this is basically used for a motive, or it is used for the reason or the cause. Like whatever reason you have or the cause you have, it is used in that context. And then we have nadin. Nadin is also, we can see.
Nada yunadi.
Excellent. Nada yunadi fahuwa munadin, but this is like the short form. nadin, and the plural is nawadin, and it is used for the club, like the club. And then we have laylatun, one night, and the plural is layalin. Do you remember any verse where the kalima layalin has been used?
Wal-fajri wa-layalin ashr.
Walayalin.
Malayalin ashr, excellent. All right. And the last exercise 22 that we are already doing here now, it's also something about that we have learned already. Ism al-manqus, it's about that. So inshallah it's easier. هذه الأسماء على وزن مفاعل. So these are on the pattern of مفاعل. مفاعل, we know that this is مبني من الصرف, right? مفاعل, مفاعلة, مفاعلة. غير أنها, and as we discussed yesterday, that غير أنها means but تنون, again, what do you think? Is it passive or active?
No one is passive, sir.
It's passive, right? تنون.
Passive.
Why?
Passive.
Because there is no kasra. If you don't see kasra,
Second last letter fatha, sir.
yeah, that's right. تنون. So it is given tanween. It is given tanween. Nawana yunawinu tanweenan. That means to give tanween. It is given tanween fi raf'i wal jarri. So it is given tanween in raf or jar, as we know that. Wala tujarru bil fatha, and it is not given fatha when we have to make it in the state of jar. If we look here, it will become clearer. Mafa'ilu, when it is marfu, it has dhamma. When it is mansub, it has fatha, and when it is majroor, it has fatha. So it says wala tujarru, and it is not given jar bil fathati, by fatha. Here, when it is jar, we give it fatha. But it says that when we have these verbs that we are talking about, or the verbs that we have already talked about, these verbs, when they are marfu, they have kasratain. When they are majroor, they have kasratain. But when they are mansub, we know that because they are manqus, then the ya comes back. The ya comes back. So this is what they are talking about over here. Okay, how mawashin is on the pattern of mafa'ilu, or jawarin is on the pattern of mafa'ilu? How? It was basically jawariyu. It was jawariyu, and we know that dhamma is heavy on ya, and then that's why the dhamma gets deleted and it is replaced by kasratain. Similarly, this one was mawashiyu, and again dhamma has been dropped, ya has been dropped, and it has changed into kasratain. So original form is on the pattern of mafa'ilu. The original form is mafa'ilu, mawashiyu, but the ya has been dropped and it has been replaced by kasratain. So this is what, and if we look at the examples, inshallah it will be clearer. Lil wawi ma'anin kathiratun. Waw has several meanings. Okay, ma'anin, what is the status of ma'anin? Is it marfu or mansub or majroor?
Marfu.
Marfu. Okay. We know that when ism al-manqus, it will be, when it is marfu, it takes kasratain, and when it is majroor, it takes kasratain. If you want to make sure about it, look at the sifa that we used for it. The sifa that we used for it is, it has dhammatain. So that means the sifa confirms that both of them are marfu. And this is the most important and delicate thing of Arabic language. And if we are able to figure out this one, it will be inshallah easier for us to read Arabic language without the vowel signs. And also this confirms that fatha, dhamma, and kasra, they are not the signs of raf, nasb, or jar. Raf, nasb, and jar can be without fatha, dhamma, or kasra. And that means i'rab. I'rab means the case endings, and the case endings will tell us whether the noun is marfu, mansub, or majroor. So here, if you look at kathiratun, it confirms that this is also marfu. Both of them are marfu. Ta'ti al-wa'u lim'anin kathiratin. Here, ma'anin is Majroor. Why it is majroor?
Lam jar.
Lam jar. We have harf jar before it. Yeah. So and then the sifa confirms that this is also majroor. Arifu lil wawi ma'aniya kathiratan. I know a lot of, or I know different meanings of wow. Arifu, because arifu we know this is fail plus file, and ma'aniya will be fatha will be shown over there because if it is manqus, even when ya is there, we have to show fatha over there. So fatha and fathatain here, they confirm that both of them are mansoob. I hope it's clear now, inshallah. Now we move on to the easier part, hopefully, the vocabulary part. We have discussed about this. So, طيبة ممنوع من الصرف without tanween, another name of Madinah. حديث متفق عليه, a hadith reported by both Imam Bukhari and Imam Muslim in their hadith collections known as As-Sahihan. Qasaman, and the plural is aqsamun, oath. When we talk about the section, we say qismun aila, family section. So for the section, we use the word qismun, but for the oath, it is qasamun, and the plural is aqsamun on the pattern of af'alun. Muhrimun, a pilgrim.
What about department?
Shuqqatu, for the apartment, we use the word shuqqa.
Department, maybe department in the university.
Yeah, qism is also, the word qism is used for the department as well, or kulliya, faculty. You're talking about the department in the college or university. So either they use the word kulliya, like kulliyatu tibbi, kulliyatu shariyati, or they use the word qism. Both of them are used. Qismun means section or part or department. Umratun, visit to the Kaaba, of course, and inshallah, i'tamara ya'tamiru, from this we will see how this word is derived. Hizbun, group or party, and the plural is ahzabun. Farihun, happy, and farihuna is the plural. Al-Ma'idatu, name of the 5th surah, meaning dining table. Literally, it means dining table. Then we have Ar-Rumu, name of the 30th surah, Benzites or Byzantines, sorry, Ar-Rum. Then we have Nashrat al-Akhbari, news bulletin. Wada'un, farewell. Wada'un, wadda'a yuwaddi'u tawdi'an, ma wadda'aka rabbuka wa ma qala, and also wada'un, two masdar are used for this, for farewell. Tawdi' wa wada'. Tala'a yatla'u tulu'an, to rise. So it is from Bab Nasara Yansuru. The Sheikh has used A and U. That means this is from Bab Nasara Yansuru. Similarly, we have Gharaba Yaghrubu Ghuruban. So Tulu' and Ghurub. Now we know that these are the, what do we call them? Masadr. Tulu'un wa Ghurubun. To rise and to set. Nataqa yantiqu nutqan. To speak, to utter, and to pronounce. وما ينطق عن الهوى. Yesterday, by mistake, I said manil hawa, and we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most forgiving. Sometimes it is a slip of tongue, sometimes we make mistakes, and that's why we are called human beings. We always make mistakes. That's why the dua, which I always recite in the end of the lesson, it is very important for us, because that dua is called kafaratul ijtimai. Like whenever we make a sitting and when we recite that dua, so whatever mistake we make, inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive it. And similarly, even if you recite the Quran, after reciting the Quran, we have to make that dua as well, subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika, and all of it, because there is a possibility that we might make mistakes when we are reciting the Quran. Then we have taqabbala, yataqabbalu, taqabbulan, to accept, verb from number 5, as we can see here. And how can we remember it, that this is verb from number 5? It consists of 5 letters. Aqama yuqimu, yes, aqama yuqimu iqamatan, to establish. And this is verb from form number 4, which is aslama yuslimu islaman. Okay. Then we have, and you will also notice here that we have extra ta marbuta. So inshallah, when we discuss about the derived forms of the verb, then we will see like why this ta marbuta has come, because aslama yuslimu islaman. It's not islamatan, right? But here ta marbuta has been added. So it will be added to all the nouns that are ajwaf. To ajwaf nouns, when we talk about the derived form of the verb, and then the ta marbuta will be added to the masdar, like adafa yudifu idafatan, aqama yuqimu iqamatan, hamala yahmilu hamlan. I'm just giving you the idea so that you are prepared when we start the extended forms of the verb. Hamala yahmilu hamlan, to carry. Sha'a yasha'u shay'an. What is the plural of shay'an? Ashya'u. Shay'an, ashya'u. And also wa mashi'atan. Mashi'atan. So it has two. It has masdarain. Shay'an wa mashi'atan. Then we have sharaha yashrahu sharhan, to explain, to open something, to explain something. And then we have ma'anan. Ma'anin. As we have alam nashrah laka sadrak, we have, and then we also have rabbi shrah li sadri. So it is used in different meanings to, and ashrahu lak others also to explain something, to open something. That is called sharaha yashrahu. Ma'anan, and the plural is ma'anin, and ma'anan means meaning. Then we have something that we discussed about today, halun, and the plural is ahwalun. State, situation, or circumstance. Halun, ahwalun. Then we have khataba, yakhtubu, khatabatan, wa khutbatan. Khutbatul jum'ah, right? Khutbatul jum'ah, or khutbatul eid. So that is where we get this word from. Khataba yakhtubu, fahuwa khatibun wa khatibun. So sometimes this ismul fa'il can be on two patterns. It can be on the pattern of fa'ilun, and also on the pattern of fa'ilun, khatibun. To deliver a lecture, address a gathering. Talaba yatlubu talaban, to seek, to demand, to ask for something. All of them, they are used in this context. Baqiya yabqa, baqa'an, to remain. And baqa also, qariba yaqrabu qurban wa qurbanan, qurbanan wa qurban, qurbanan, being used in the Quran, right? To approach, to go near. And also we have seen wala taqrabu salata wa antum sukara. So this is wala taqrabu salata wa antum sukara. Qariba yaqrabu qurban wa qurbanan. Afada yufidu ifadatan. Now can you please tell me why we have this ta marbuta? Do you remember? I explained it in the previous slide that we have this ta marbuta. Do you remember or you forgot? Excellent. On the pattern of iqamatun, ifadatun. Excellent. On the pattern of idafatun. So basically this verb is ajwaf. Ajwaf means the second root letter will be a weak letter. So yeah, this is the fourth form of the verb. Aslama yuslimu islaman. When there is no weak letter, it will be on the regular form of masdar will be the regular aslama yuslimu islaman. But when we have ajwaf, then it will take ta marbuta. Afada yufidu ifadatan. And it means to inform, to convey the meaning, denote, and signify. Istajaba yastajibu istijabatan. Again, you can see here it has ta marbuta. Even though this is not verb form number 4, this is verb form number 10. But the rule is the same. Whenever it is ajwaf, then the regular will be istaghfara yastaghfiru istighfaran. Istighfaran. But when it is istajaba yastajibu, when it is ajwaf, then it will be istijabatan. To respond, answer a prayer, grant a request. And that's why we say Ameen, Allahumma stajib. Allahumma stajib, oh Allah, answer the prayer or grant the request that we have requested. Qalaba yaqlibu qalban. Does anyone know the word qalb? Qalban. What's the meaning of qalban? Can you hear me? Qalban is used for the heart. What is the plural of qalban?
قليب.
No, qulubun. Qulubun. That is kalb, that is for the dog. Kalbun wa kulaybun, that is a short form of kalb. But this is qaf, qalbun, and the plural is qulubun, the hearts. So why it is called qalbun? Because to overturn, to change, because our heart overturns a lot, it changes a lot. Whenever it sees something that is attractive, something that you like, it starts moving around. So that's why it is called qalbun, because it keeps on changing. And all, you know that like all the times our heart keeps on changing and the feelings keep on changing. That's why it is called qalb. Insha'un, ansha yunshi insha'an, composition or writing. Sahihun, and the plural is asihha'u. And the second one we took today, sihahun. You forget so quickly, huh? Sahihun has two plurals. One is asihha'u. Asihha'u is mamnu min as-sarf because it's on the pattern of af'ila'u. And sihahun is used for ghayr aqil, that is on the pattern of fi'alun. That is used for li ghayr al-aqil, and asihha'u is used for lil aqil. Sahifatun, newspaper, and the plural is suhufun. Suhufun, on the pattern of fu'ulun, suhufun. Shartun, and the plural is shurutun. Shartun and shurutun, on the pattern of fu'ulun, conditions. Then we have ala ghirari kada, yani on the pattern of something. So kada wa kada, it's used in Arabic like that, like that. So ala ghirarihi, on its pattern. Khattun, and the plural is khututun. Khattun is used for line, and it is also used for handwriting. Khattuka jamilun, your handwriting is beautiful. So it is used for handwriting, and it is also used for the line. Ta'akkada yata'akkadu, ta'akkudan, verb from number 6, to make sure. Yes, to make sure. Saydun, game or hunted wild animal. And then we have kaunun. Kaunun is basically the masdar of kana yakunu, and the masdar is kaunun, the state of being. Kaunihi fil masjidi, to be or being in the masjid. Rasibun is on the pattern of fa'ilun, someone who failed or who has failed. Rasaba yarsubu fahuwa rasibun, and the plural is rasibuna, on the pattern of fa'iluna. Alhamdulillah, our lesson is completed. Lesson number 2, everything, all the exercises. It has 22 exercises. And Alhamdulillah, we have completed all the 22 exercises. And before we move on, or before we leave, I would like to give just a small introduction of the next lesson that we are going to do. And inshallah, we will discuss about this in detail in the next lesson. So lesson number 3, the key points, we are not going to discuss about all the key points, only to give you the idea about the passive voice. The passive voice. So everything that we have learned about the verbs up till now, starting from book 1, book 2, that was all ma'loom. Ma'loom means something that is known. And today, or from tomorrow, in the next lesson, we will talk about something that is called passive voice. Al-fi'lul mabniyu lil majhuli. Lil majhul. It's very, very important. I always emphasize this idea that whenever you talk about something, first of all, you should be clear about the meaning. If we are not clear about the meaning, it's difficult to understand. Sometimes we complete the whole lesson and we don't really know what it is about. So it's basically jahila, yajhalu, on the pattern of sami'a yasma'u. Masdar is jahalun wa jahalatun, and ismul fa'il is jahilun, and ismul maf'ul is majhulun. So it is on the pattern of maf'ulun, to ignore. So jahil means someone who is ignorant, and majhul is someone who has been ignored. Then why do we call it majhulun? Because the doer in such kind of sentences, the doer is unknown. We don't know about the doer. We don't know who performed the action. For example, we say, Nasara Bilalun Zaidan. Nasara Bilalun Zaidan. Bilal helped Zaid. Bilal helped Zaid. But if we say Nusira Zaidun, Nusira Zaidun, Zaid was helped. Do we know who helped Zaid? The doer is not there. The doer is unknown. So that's why we call it majhul, because the person who is performing the action, or when the action has been performed, the person who performed the action or the performer of the action or the doer is unknown. That's why it's called passive voice. In English, passive voice, in Arabic it is called al-fi'l al-mabniyu lil-majhuli. Al-fi'l al-mabniyu lil-majhuli. And it has a fixed pattern, and the pattern is so easy. Inshallah, I will give you some information about it today. And from today, even without learning the passive voice, when you are reciting the Quran, you will be able to figure out whether the noun is majhul or is it ma'loom. How do we know that? In passive voice, both past and present verbs start with dhamma. Number one, there is always dhamma in the beginning. Clear? Whether it is present or past, in the beginning there will always be a dhamma. In the past tense, there is always a kasra before the second last letter. There is always a kasra on the second last letter. For example, fu'ila, what is the last letter? Lam. What do we have before it?
Kasra.
Kasra. Okay, fu'ila. So in the past tense, you will always see a kasra. In the beginning, we will always see a dhamma, and after that, we will always see a kasra. So whenever you see a kasra, the combination of dhamma and kasra, that means this is the passive of the past tense. This is the passive of the past tense. In the present tense, there will never be a kasra. Whatever form of the verb it is, whether it is form number 1, 2, 3, 10, whatever form of the verb it is, you will never ever see a kasra in that. So instead of saying that the second last letter has fatha, we can make it simpler and we can say that it starts with dhamma and it will never ever have a kasra. So if I say yunsarun, yunsarun or yunsaru, is it active or passive? Yunsarun, there is no kasra. Yuktabu, yuktabu, active or passive?
Passive is the
Passive, okay.
present tense.
Yes, yuqtalu,
Yuktalu is passive as well.
passive as well. Okay, qutila,
Kulti is passive is the
passive. Okay, yeah. So that's the only thing that you need to remember. So I'm leaving you with these 3 points, and if you are able to master these points before we start the next lesson is like a piece of cake. We don't have to worry about anything. The only thing that inshallah I will give you is to memorize the conjugation. Once you have to memorize the conjugation of the past tense and the present tense, once you memorize it, that's it. Like we have memorized for the past and the present for ma'loom. We have memorized for like fa'ala, fa'ala, fa'alu, and yaf'alu, yaf'alani, yaf'aluna. Similarly, we will memorize fu'ila, fu'ila, fu'ilu, and yuf'alu, yuf'alani, yuf'aluna. And we will memorize this, and that's it. And the only thing that we also need to remember that it always comes from fi'l al-muta'addi. Fi'l al-muta'addi means it comes from the verb that needs object. It will not come from fi'l al-lazim. But that's, even if you don't remember, if you remember these 3 points, inshallah, the next lesson will be very, very easy. Any questions?
no.
All right, then see you inshallah in the next lesson. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. وإياكم.